As of recording this video, two groups of people are officially on suicide watch due to tonight's Super Bowl game. Kansas City Chiefs fans and Drake. Thank you. Now on to the video. LA has had a rough time at it recently due to the perfect storm of fire. Excessive amounts of fucking fire. Tearing through about 40 acres and killing about 24 people. And we're still not asking the big question, the giant fucking elephant in the room of, what are we gonna do about climate change? I mean, it's even gotten worse with the reports of toxic gas and mudslides in the area due to these fires. And yet nobody's asking the main questions. Donald Trump did visit California to survey the fires. In other words, have some of his top supporters in the police and fire department absolutely glaze him and tell him, oh, Mr. President, if you were here, this wouldn't have happened. You would have so done it better than anybody else. I swear. I mean, come on now. You even have Mel fucking Gibson on Fox News, and I shit you not, I am hand over a fucking Bible. I am under oath right now. You will listen to me until I say otherwise. Okay? Listen to that. It's like Daddy arrived and he's taking his belt off.
Glad Trump's here at the moment. You know, it's like Daddy arrived and he's taking his belt off, you know? So I think he'll get some results here quickly. You know,
no. This is almost as bad as the Tucker Carlson hopping on stage to say that Daddy's home. We're off to an amazing start with this administration, aren't we? So what exactly happened? California has always had a problem with wildfires. The only difference now is that it's mainly government inefficiency at this point in time, because officials weren't exactly ready for a fire of this magnitude, especially with water infrastructure. So with my research, there seem to have been a lot of chances for something like this to be mitigated. If the proper procedures and proper upgrades to water infrastructure were taken, it could help fight these kind of fires like the one that was in LA. But action was not taken. As to why it became such a big problem, well, there's unprecedented hurricane winds that carried the fire throughout LA. This was kind of a perfect storm for Southern California. And the fire was also being fueled by dead trees, dead plants, giant acres of dead plants that have not been cleared out. Officials can only do so much. Sometimes nature is just too much to handle, and it is impossible to manage a disaster of this magnitude. But everything about this fire was record-breaking. Record winds, unprecedented damages of a major city. Yet we aren't asking the simple question of, is this due to the climate? Global temperatures still continue to rise as energy policy leans more and more to the right, as the US goes back to the earth-destroying mentality of drill baby drill. We've been warned about these consequences, but we refuse to listen, and now we're seeing the outcome of the inaction. LA will not be the only city to turn into toxic ash if we don't change how we look at climate change. I have resources down in the description below on what you can do to help these victims of this heartbreaking event. Hopefully, this is a wake-up call for all of American Californians to pressure their government to be more serious about climate and wildfire mitigation methods. But it seems we haven't learned anything, as insurance companies pull homeowners' fire insurance as their homes were being burned down. Don't take it from me, it's actually happening. The LA Times report thousands of home insurance policies in the Pacific Palisades and other fire-prone areas suddenly didn't renew, leaving everyone in those areas unprotected. So if you lost everything in the fire, sorry buddy, I guess you lost the lottery. Jesus, I thought they learned their lesson with Luigi, and now they're going back at it with no loot. You see, with all this happening, it still continues to baffle me that conservatives will dumb down the situation to such a degree that we're using DEI initiatives as a reason for why the fires happened. Not climate change or government mismanagement. No, it's the minorities that run these government institutions that are the problem, because we can't have people blaming us for when it comes to us. I'm not saying liberals are completely blameless. There should have been better precautions to ensure that in the event of a fire, there is enough water to bring it down. That isn't what happened. But you also need to understand that we are in an arms race with nature at this point. As fires get bigger, we need to update infrastructure quicker to ensure that we can meet those demands, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we kind of live in a state without readily available water. Oh, just bring it from the sea, my dude. It's not that hard. Actually, it is pretty fucking hard. In the context of drinking water, the process is usually expensive and a net negative on the environment, harming marine life. It also costs a lot to clean salt water and bring it into the state without a rough estimate of $5 to $10 per 1,000 gallons. Goddamn, that's on par with gas. Am I right, fellas? Relatable American. All of this boils down to, that's too soon. Let me think of something different. The general point I want you to take away from this topic is that it's more complicated than what the media tells you. They make the solution out to be just fire the DEI hires and disband FEMA, and the fires will stop. Damn! Why didn't I fucking think of that? As I outlined before, it is far more complicated and nuanced than that. And some basement dweller on the internet doesn't even think about these nuances because it doesn't suit the narrative that they are trying to push. So what is the solution? There's a couple different solutions to mitigate the problem, and those solutions are controlled fires. You ever look behind your California home and see all that tall dead grass? That's a warning sign. It needs to be cleared out as soon as humanly possible. Those areas need to be cleared out by cutting or controlled fires to ensure that if a fire did happen, it won't be fueled by the dead brush in these areas. That's a more obvious solution that seems to be a no-brainer for anyone talking about the topic, but it seems to be more complicated than that. What makes it complicated, you may ask? Government funding and manpower. The problem with the government funding is that there isn't enough to go around. You have all these fire prevention programs that are all across the state, and you only have so much money to divide up. That, and with the access to these areas being hard, it is fair to say that there are going to be some areas that are missed. That, and the lack of firefighters, it can be tough to manage over 1 million acres of land. It's not a simple prospect considering that you need the permits and you need to have the weather just right to perform these controlled fires so that you don't actually create an actual fire. So what's the solution? Well, where do I start? More government funding needs to go to these programs and not cut because they do serve a purpose in these different areas of California, and people need to be in these programs. Prescribed fires work, and they worked during the park fires, where homes that had prescribed fires done on their property showed that their house was still standing after the fires were taken care of. The LA fires are a stark lesson in how we manage fires in the state, and a warning to the federal government that if these areas aren't taken care of, you might lose the entire state to wildfires. The resources are down in the description below to help the people who are affected by the fires, and I highly recommend it considering none of this were their fault. It is the fault of the federal and state government for not seeing the writing on the wall, and as Americans, we should expect more from our officials. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider subscribing, sharing with your friends, getting the word out, and please, 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 donate to all of the resources that I have linked in the description below. Everybody needs it right now, considering that they have gone through actual hell. And since the insurance companies aren't going to help them, might as well have our fellow Americans help each other as well. Thank you, and have a good day.